Hi, welcome back to part 2 of this human comedy 1 hour endurance race. So this is actually before the pit stop. If you watch part 1, that was the first 10 laps. I thought I'd include the next few laps because one of the fastest laps is, I believe it's lap 8, and I don't know if you can remember, if you've already watched part 1, this is the part where the Mercedes is eyeing me up to knock me off the track. So I'll just slow down a bit, take it a bit easier there, let them go past, get a better entrance into this second corner, and then just leave them behind. And as I said in part 1, you know, that the AI can be very aggressive in this race in particular, and as long as you've keep an eye on them, you shouldn't have a problem. So we're just gonna run it up to the pit stop and obviously the rest of the race, and we've got all of the full information on screen. So you can see we're in second place. We're still nearly 13 seconds behind P1, and we're going to pit on lap 10. Keep medium tyres and just refuel up to just to top it up to do another 10 laps, and then we'll be back out, and so you'll see we'll get back out into the pack, and we'll take it from there. So we're just going down this infamous, it's a steep hill that in real life, you know, just swinging round there, and we've got the Porsche and the Mercedes behind trying to catch up. Not the Porsche, it's the M6 GT3 endurance car and the Mercedes AMG. What happened to the Porsche? That's well back, it's in 6th, because that was second place for quite a while. So I'll leave it with you. We're getting quite a lot of these corners, not getting them quite right. We're going slightly off, a bit too early, a bit too late, you know, not quite exactly right. But if you look at the consistency of the lap times, we're under 2 minutes, and we've had a 1:58.012, a 58.7, a 59.3, and as you see later in the race, I'm sort of learning the track all the time. You know, it doesn't matter how many times you've driven this track, you can always learn something new about it. And they'll come down, and I think the fastest we get is a 1:56.8 on a hot lap, and a 1:56.0, but that's on I think it's on an out lap from the pits. So I'll leave it with you, and I'll come back when things get a bit more interesting when we're coming out of the pits. So just coming into the last few corners of lap 10, coming into pit. The tyres are pretty well halfway down the front, so not helping the lap times. And ride the sausage, baby. Took that corner a bit too early, cut it. So just coming in now. And just to point out, so we're changing on racing mediums. I'm just going to top up to about 10.1 laps, you know, on the gauge where it's got cruising range. So I'm doing another 10 laps. Looks like a lot of other guys have come in the pits as well. Some of them making quite quick stops. And the fuel goes up, I think it's 3 litres per second, so it's a very long refueling part of the pit. So we've got 10.1, and that'll take us up to around lap 20, and we're straight back out into traffic. So it's 16th, there's 15th, the Alpha. I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but as soon as I come out of the pits, the first couple of corners, they look massive. It's like everything looks bigger than when I've just been racing for 10 laps. It's weird. It's weird. Some of the other, you know, when you get the golds on the circuit experience, sometimes I'm like in the AMG around Nordschleife, and it seems like everything's bigger. It's very strange. Anyway, back to normal. Must just be my perception of things. So trying to just thread the needle through these camels or donkeys or AI, whatever you want to call them. It won't matter, they won't be offended. And I think they've either pitted and switched tyres, or they didn't pit and the tyres are shot. So, but anyway, we've got through them pretty quick. So I'll see what kind of lap we can get here. Well, I had the benefit of some slipstream through the lap, but probably lost a little bit of time and taking lines that we didn't need to take. So we'll see how it pans out. There's another one in the pits. So we're now P11. So that was a 156.8. That was an out lap. So a bit more overtaking to do, and I'll come back to you in a bit. I'd just like to say this, not this corner, but the next one, the bottom of the hill. You've probably noticed I've taken it a couple of different ways. Sometimes I get to see the orange thing on the left here, orange square thing there. I can swing in there and point towards the apex of the corner, and then sort of hard braking up to the apex. And if you get that right, I think you can gain a little bit of time. You might be able to gain at least a couple of hundredths if you get it right, but it is tricky, more tricky. But the biggest benefit, even if you're not gaining any time, is it's the inside line if you've got cars in front of you. So at the start of the race, if you're right behind sort of 2 or 3 cars, it might be worth taking the risk of shooting down the inside, and sort of, as long as you can slow down sufficiently to hit the apex perfectly, and then you're accelerating straight off the apex out of it, you'll get past some cars. You probably saw in part 1 of this video, I got past, I think it was the AMG early on in the race, might have been lap 2, and I actually just drove straight down the right hand side of the track, and just, you get your braking distance right, and you know, you can do anything with the car. So he's a 157.1, I think that's the fastest sort of hot lap throughout the race. I think a bit later that would do 1:56.8. So that's one of the fastest laps there. And so we're now running P7. So if you are struggling with this event, I mean, I'm 7th at the moment. At the time of racing, you know, I had no idea I was going to win the race. But it just works. It's maybe it's the pit strategy. I swung in a bit earlier there, and that seemed to be a lot better, smooth around the corner. You got to be a bit careful through this section. There are penalties for cutting, and it's quite easy to just go a tiny bit too far, and you could get a 1 second penalty, and then, you know, if you're doing that every lap, it adds up. So I think we're in the race with we're about 5 seconds in front of P2. So got a bit leery around there. Maybe he's pushing it a bit too far. And well, it's a 911. You know, the back end can go out. So if you're going to use this car, just keep in mind, you know, you've got to just sort of you'll know when you drive the car around the track where the back end can go, like here. And fortunately it's easy to correct, but you are losing time at the same time. You see, you'll lose it quite a few times around this last corner, last bend. So P6 just ahead. Just going to push now to 1:57.9. And no, just got that totally wrong. Slowed down too soon, but not a bad exit out of turn 2. Keeping it on the camber, catching a little bit. See if I sweep in on this lap from the orange. No, I stay on the outside and then go in a bit late. And it's all a bit all over the place. You know, it's neither one thing or the other. But got past him. So hopefully these tyres will last till another 6 laps. Seem to be okay. It's just the last few, well, probably the last couple of like lap 8 and lap 9 and lap 10, and then you pit, then you box. Once the tyre wear is down a bit, then you just brake a little bit earlier. You know, not much, and you just don't push as much. You know, it's just taking it a bit easier. This one, do I get this? That's not bad. That's probably one of the better ones I've done, apart from the exit there. Could have turned in a little bit sooner. That last corner, sort of turning in then and braking, so it's like trail braking from the end of the chevron. That's how I do it. And whether it's the best way or not, it's probably not, but it's working, and the lap times aren't too bad. I'm by no means the, you know, I don't think of myself as a really good driver. It's, you know, I'm just playing the game here, you know. Right, let's see if I sweep in this time from the orange. Yes, so I sweep in, braking a bit later. Oh, skip the whole, go the other side of the sausage. And that kind of worked. 41 at the apex, 41 seconds on the white apex, so that's pretty fast. I was watching Lewis Hamilton doing this his fastest hot lap around this track. It was for Gran Turismo Sport. It's a YouTube video you can watch, and he gets around in 1:55.5, and he's in the AMG. I think it's the Group 3 car that's in this race, and he doesn't do much different to anyone else, but just happens to get, you know, it must be just tiny amounts on every corner, and it's just getting everything right, you know. I mean, I've got mistakes here. It's not that I'm gaining more time, it's just this every corner I'm losing a little bit, so I've probably lost a tenth of a second just around that last corner. I could have done that, you know, at least a tenth of a second better, but still 1:57. So consistency is key. It seems I'll do every single corner differently to the last time, and just trying to sort of learn the track, learn the limits, and just find me mojo. And then once you've got your mojo, nothing's stopping you then. Go lap 16, got another 14 to go. It's a sweep in, I like it. It's down 3 gears there. That was hitting that was that corner right. If you can do that corner like that, that's exactly how it should be done, in my opinion. And a lot of other people, they steer right to the outside of the track, you know, right on the left hand side, and they sort of stay right out there and sweep in. And I don't think you're using more track, you know, it's like, if you think about drawing the line that you're taking, it's a longer line, it's a longer curve. So that's the way I do it anyway. Sometimes I vary it, and it seemed to work brilliantly there. So second place, P2. I think that's because a lot of people pitted, and just a few more seconds to P1. It's just there, and it's another 911. So there we are. It's a Porsche 1.2 at the moment. Oh, and then totally lost it there. Still 158. Okay, 0.99, but still 158. But okay, could have done without that. But I mean, if you are struggling with this event, you know, and if that happens once or twice through the race, as long as you're just losing a second or something, it's not going to make that much difference through the whole race. But if you're going off completely and you lose 10 seconds and you spin off onto the grass or something like that, you might as well just restart. Get it right this time. Yeah. And as soon as you're at that apex, you can start accelerating. And I think when you're accelerating, if you were doing the other line, you wouldn't actually be accelerating. You'd be like either cruising. I mean, you wouldn't be braking. So, you know, if you think about it, you might get a bit more sort of acceleration out of it, because you might be going to be in a lower gear, but with the same sort of line. So I'll leave it with you. If you want to watch how to do all these corners. This one, about halfway down the chevron, I start turning into that apex. That last part of that, if you're slightly fast, you're gonna slide out and you're onto the sausage curb. Oh, he's gone in. Oh, go P1. Yikes, that's so slow. So I've had traction control 1 throughout the whole race. I use a DualShock 6-axis controller. I've got automatic gearbox and ABS just normal default. I don't have any other assists. The what's it called, ASR management or something. Don't use that. But I'm not changing the traction control through the race. I mean, you probably could do and get more time. You have it switched on for the first couple of corners and switch it off for the rest. You might gain a little bit more time. I'm really not fussed about doing that. I'm getting around okay with TCS1 throughout the whole lap, and I think as long as you can keep it under, you keep your lap times around 158, 159. If they're in the 58s and 59s, and then if you get the odd, I think I only get 2 or 3 that are in sort of 56 and 57, 2 or 3 laps. Then the event's very doable, especially with a 2-pit strategy. Just stay on mediums, have your fuel mix set at 1 through the whole race. And if you're using this car, it's you're not going to run out of fuel. Your tyres will last, the mediums will last 10 laps. They get a little bit out of shape, like I said, on the last couple of laps. But the rest is just, it's just practice, just keeping your lap times, you know, keeping an eye on the corners. The braking point for the first corner there's a cameraman on the right hand side of the track. He's got like a big camera, must be like a reporter or something, and he's just after the end of the metal fence. And with this car and with really good braking, if you manage your L2 properly, you're not just, you know, pulling the trigger full in, that won't slow you down as much as just sort of pressing it in and finding like the biting point on the brakes. You can start slowing down where the cameraman is, which is probably 20 yards, 10 yards, maybe 10-20 yards after the end of the fence. But just to keep it safe, I mean, if your tyre wears down, your braking's gonna be a bit worse. It's not gonna be quite right. So you could just use the end of the fence as you know, a pointer of when to brake. This corner here, I just brake at the 50 meter sign. It's just the one at the bottom of the hill. But if you can manage your L2 really well, and if you're prepared to do that, and I suppose it also depends how much speed you've carried over the top of the hill before you go down that hill, because you could be in a slipstream and at the top of the brow of the hill, instead of doing 240 kilometers mile an hour, at 240 kilometers an hour, you could be doing 250 kilometers an hour. And when you get to the bottom of the hill, if you're using exactly the same braking point at just after 50, it's, you know, you'd go off the track. So you just got, you know, it's sort of managing it. If you're in a slipstream, you're going faster than on a lap where there's nobody in front of you at all. Then obviously if you're going faster, you brake a little bit sooner. So, or if your tyres are shot, you know, you brake a bit sooner. So yeah, so for that one it's usually at the 50. But you can, if everything's top notch, you can go a little bit after the 50 and let the 50 go by and then start braking. But you're right on the limit then, you know. So here we go, still P1. I'm trying to remember if anyone gets past me. I'm going to pit again, and yes, I think we're going to pit this lap, and there's cars that are currently behind, and they'll get past, and then we'll back out and have to take some more places. So it's an interesting race, brilliant track. Love that curve there, that corner. It's fantastic. The way the track is just angled. You can brake so late because you're sort of braking, you know, part of the braking, it's uphill, so that slows you right down. And then the turn itself is really like a steep camber, so it's like Daytona or something. It's like you're going round. Oops, off here. Oh dear me. Oh, we're coming into the pits. That was all a bit leery. The guy's just running out with me yellow wheels. That's attention to detail, that, in this game, you know, because I changed the colour of them wheels. You go on the pit stop and you get yellow wheels if they're yellow. If you painted them yellow, paint them pink, they'll come out with pink wheels. Oh, look at him, he's struggling with that wheel. I think it looks very heavy. So up to 10 or 10.1, I think I try to click on 10 and then it just goes past, but don't mind. So back out, where are we? P5 with P6 just behind us. So we have to get away from him as quick as we can. And that was the GR Supra, the race car. And that's who started in P1 and who it took quite a long time to catch. In fact, we didn't catch him until after the first pit stop. So it must be quite a quick car, that, but I've not used it. So we get a good exit there. 40, 41. So that's actually quite quick into here. A little bit wide. But I think it makes that last section a bit easier, the very last sort of corner. You're sort of wide on the first one, just the way it all sort of works out. If you're sort of narrow on the first one, you can end up a bit wide on the last one. So this is looking like a fast lap. That's 116 coming out of there. So that's going to be what, 126? 127. Back end was screeching a little bit. Not bad, could have gotten the power a little bit sooner. 156.0, okay, that was an outlap. So it's just more driving. I'll come back to you when we'll catch up to 4th place. Hopefully it'll be a bit more excitement for the race. Let's just see if we sweep in on this one again. No, left it out there. So I do try it different ways to, you know, to try and figure out that 41.5 on the apex. So I know I didn't get it quite right, but I'm pretty sure the swinging in first, which I don't think anyone else does, is faster. So I mean, if you just want to try that, you might find you might gain a bit better on your lap times. So I'll come back in a bit once we start catching up to the front of the pack. ICP3, not far ahead, and we seem to be catching very quickly. Possibly some of the AI, they changed their fuel mix towards the end of the race, and so we can't assume that he's on fuel mix 1, or indeed that his tyres, oh, we took a place because someone pitted, but we don't know what these tyres are. I can see we've caught up very quickly. It could be the case that they changed their strategy. So things like fuel mixes, tyres, I'm pretty sure everyone will be on mediums, but you never know. But anyways, he's passed, kind of, almost. Now he is. I passed him twice then. That's good. We can rack up the number of overtakes a bit faster. Get a bit wide there, and then okay, that was sort of good timing. Just on that, I was able to just ease off. You with the Porsche, if you as soon as you're accelerating, if you're just freewheeling round a corner and you accelerate, it pushes the car out to the outside of the track. It pushes it, so that's something to do with the LST. I mean, we can't change it, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would change the the differential for the acceleration. But we can't. But you just ease off round a corner, and it'll turn in better. So it's almost like the torquiness of the car is sort of very sensitive to just easing off. So when you're going through that section, you know, the S section, or well, any of these corners, you can just ease off just the tiniest amount. I mean, like taking it, letting out the trigger for like 1/100th of a second, and it can make a little bit of difference to your angles, to your. And then the traction control, I mean, it does slow you down a little bit, but you see, I just on that corner, you just sort of, you can just ease off the R2 for like 1/100th of a second, and it'll correct the car, it'll correct it, you know. It's just something. You just keep doing it. You learn the car. You learn how it handles. And I think this probably is one of the best cars for the track for this particular event. It's quite fuel efficient, it's quite fast, and you combine the two, and if you see there's another guy on YouTube, he tested all of these cars, all of the Group 3 cars around here, and he did a spreadsheet. One of them was just the fastest lap times, and I think this Porsche came in about 6th or something, and then another column on the spreadsheet was fuel efficiency, and this was about 9th or something. So overall, the Porsche, it really is a solid car for this track. It really is. But you've got to drive it and learn it and know its faults, and just try and work with its faults, and you'll get these lap times easily. 1:57.2 I had on lap 23. You see, you can do it. And I'm not the best driver in the world, I'm really not. There's a 1:56.8, that was the fastest lap of my race, not the fastest lap of the race. That's Hizzle, that guy. But I mean, I'm not a professional race car driver or anything, you know. I'm just a PlayStation nerd who plays, you know, play this game. I also play Genshin Impact. I play all sorts of different games. I've got, you know, 200 and 300 games in me, you know, in me trophy list that I've played over the years. And of course Gran Turismo it's at the top, you know. It's one of the best games ever. Love racing games, especially when it's more like a simulator. And here we are, catching P1. Still 13 seconds. Can we do it with 4 laps to go? Let's find out. Last corner, 0.4 laps left of fuel. We're all good, tyres are fine, we've eased off. We're down victory lane here. That's a win. And I think it was about 5 seconds in front. Pretty good, not bad. 6.6 seconds, 66 tenths. And there's the car, there she is. Well, if you're struggling with this event, I hope you get some pointers from watching this video and maybe from a few comments I've made how to do it. Have a great day racing. I'll see you in the next video. Have fun. Bye for now.